Introduction. Reclaiming the gospel from the colonial lie. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because He has anointed me to bring good news to the poor, to set at liberty those who are oppressed. These words of Christ, spoken at the outset of His ministry, proclaim a gospel of liberation, dignity, and restoration. Yet, as European empires expanded across the Americas, Africa, and the Pacific, the message of Jesus was too often reshaped into something unrecognizable. Instead of good news for the oppressed, Christianity was frequently entangled with systems that dispossessed, controlled, and dehumanized indigenous peoples. In many places, the cross arrived alongside the sword, and the Bible traveled with the law of empire. This book begins with a necessary truth. The idea of the savage was not discovered by Europeans, it was invented by them. It was a colonial fiction crafted to rationalize conquest and baptized in Christian language. In too many instances, churches, missionaries, and colonial authorities replaced the biblical teaching of the Imago Dei, that every person is made in God's image, with racialized hierarchies that rank human worth according to proximity to European culture. The term savage functioned as a flexible moral label. Sometimes it depicted indigenous peoples as violent, chaotic, or even cannibalistic. At other times it romanticized them as noble yet childlike, pure yet incapable of self-governance. Though these images appeared oppositional, they shared the same underlying assumption, that indigenous peoples were fundamentally other and therefore subject to European control. This binary of civilized versus savage became the moral scaffolding for land theft, forced conversions, family separation, and legal disenfranchisement. This book is therefore not only a historical critique, but a theological one. It asks, how did a faith centered on Christ's radical love become a partner to empire? What happens when the church abandons the conviction that all people bear God's image? And what does faithful repentance, not merely guilt, require of Christians today? To answer these questions, we will examine early colonial writings, including those of Samuel de Champlain, whose casual use of savage helped normalize centuries of dehumanization. We will analyze the Enlightenment's noble savage myth, showing how even seemingly positive stereotypes can erase real indigenous complexity and agency. We will trace how legal systems, missionary schools, and colonial churches institutionalized the idea of indigenous inferiority. And we will explore how literature and art often sanctified these myths rather than challenging them. Yet this is not a story of indigenous passivity. Even under the weight of colonization, indigenous peoples resisted, spiritually, politically, and culturally. Some resisted by rejecting Christianity altogether. Others, like figures such as Zakalasha
and George Copway, engaged Christianity critically, exposing its colonial distortions, while insisting that Christ's message of justice and dignity belong to their people as well. Today, many indigenous Christian communities are reclaiming the gospel on their own terms, interpreters through their language experiences. This book is written for those who love Christ but refuse to romanticize the church's colonial past. It is for believers who want to tell the truth without abandoning the faith, and for readers seeking to disentangle Jesus from empire. Deconstructing the myth of the savage is necessary but insufficient by itself.
We must also reconstruct a theology that truly honors human dignity, cultural difference, and the liberating heart of the gospel. That reconstruction begins with repentance, humility, and listening. Especially the voices long silenced, it requires returning to the gospel's center. A Christ who stands with the marginalized, confronts unjust power, and gathers all peoples into one body. The colonial lie names some people savages. The gospel names them children of God. This book seeks to take that confession seriously, historically, theologically, and morally. Let us begin by recovering that truth.